Welcome into No Punt Intended, presented by Club Fantasy. I'm your host, Joe Zolo. First show officially, if you don't want to count week 18 of the offseason here. Of course, the NFL playoffs happening, but unless you are doing some playoff fantasy football, this is it. We are heading into the fantasy football offseason. You will not have to set another lineup in redraft, in Dynasty for another 9 months. But we're not going anywhere. Buckle up because we are just starting our offseason shows today, the fantasy football MVP debate. We're talking about who we think are the MVPs and just in general, who ended up showing out for your teams in your league this year. Let's get into it. Welcome into No Punt Intended, presented by Club Fantasy. I'm your host, Joe Zolo. Ryan, Josh. Hi.
Hi.
Hi, guys. I'm back. What's it been? 3 weeks? I don't know.
Feels that way. Yeah. Skipped a week last week for the first time in almost 3 years.
Yeah, since we picked
Well,
up
it was New Year's Eve, so that feels like just a bad luck of the draw.
Up, so.
Bad luck of the draw. Anyways, we have, because we haven't always done it Wednesdays at 9, so we've normally been able to work around that. Fantasy MVPs, guys. Now, things I'd like to say is that I'd say we had a lot of guys up high on this list, and a lot of the overachievers we talked about early on.
I was going to say, we did a great job with the overachievers, but more importantly, putting this list together really strikes me as this is going to sound, there weren't a lot of surprises. Like the people who were drafted high are the guys we're talking about as the MVPs. So
yeah. Oh, the MVP is 100%. Yes. And I think you could maybe make a case for some of the, I'm going to give it, it's not Chris Olave, but you can make maybe a case for a guy like that who was drafted maybe in the 7th, 8th round, where it's like, well, he highly overplayed his draft.
Absolutely.
value.
Yeah. And that was my struggle putting the list together was if we're talking the fantasy MVP, there were names that needed to be on this list and names that didn't need to be on this list. And there were some people who vastly outperformed ADP, like some wild, I can't wait to talk about one guy. So
extremely.
Well, and we were talking a little earlier in our group chat, like people talking about how bad of a season Ashton Genty had. He was still the RB11.
RB11.
Yeah.
He's also like the poster child for not focusing too hard on end of year rankings.
Also
because he was carried by like 2 games.
Yeah.
So
no, and that's why next week's show is going to be so much fun because
next week's show includes Justin
How is
Jefferson.
Justin Jefferson not on the thumbnail next week? I'm just saying.
Justin Jefferson's on the LVPs next week. So Joe, make sure you're there for that. Remember, like, subscribe to the YouTube, poll Tiffy. That's Apple and Spotify. If you use their government names, hit that follow button. And then super chat as well. If you have any questions or you just really feel like spending some money early on in the new year, please do. Super chat is available. And then I'm sure hop in the Discord. Again, we don't stop. This is a year-round show. Unlike some other fantasy football platforms, we don't stop. We'll have year-round shows. We will be here every single Wednesday. I might not be here every single Wednesday because I do travel the country for 9 months. But I don't have many travel days on Wednesdays, as far as I know.
One of the 3 of us will be for sure. So
yes, one of the 3 of us will be alive and available on this show. Jeff Wilson is forever the no punt intended MVP, even though he didn't play a snap or was even signed to an active squad.
No, he was elevated on in week 18. I can't remember. It might have been the Dolphins.
So he didn't play a snap this year. Okay.
I thought he had worked his way back to the Niners during all their shit, but then they drafted. I don't remember either.
I don't know either. Jamie says we deserve the MVP. Damn right.
That, Jamie.
Damn right, Jamie. You're damn right we do. We like to think we're right more often than not. Except when Josh says don't draft Jackson Smith and Jigba. I always tell you don't listen to Josh.
Yeah, Josh is the LVP next week.
I mean, I'll take the 1L. Okay.
Well, didn't you have some guy really
I was higher
high?
on Christian McCaffrey than everybody here, so I don't want to hear that.
Yeah, Josh.
I took Christian McCaffrey in the first round.
Yeah, if you would have talked about MVP it might be Josh, because Josh beat the McCaffrey and Achane drum into my head. My teams with Christian McCaffrey and Devon Achane played very
You're
well
welcome.
this past season. So.
I can't draft a Miami Dolphin. I just refuse.
That's
but
fair.
I was never not on the Christian McCaffrey train. I have been 4 teams. Let's not act like I wasn't there.
We called McCaffrey a value. I mean, this whole show is going to be about McCaffrey.
Yeah. But first, let's get to the negatives, because, isn't that the best? Fuck these coaches. Am I right? Here we go. Oh, it was a great day when you saw some of these names. Browns fired Kevin Stefanski.
7 wins over the last 2 seasons.
About time. He will probably get another head coaching job. We will get there.
I was going to say, I don't blame Stefanski for a lot going on there. It's the acquisition of Deshaun Watson derailed everything the Browns were doing.
That's not a Stefanski thing, though.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, is I don't know that Stefanski was the problem.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
the problem was the owner meddling and forcing that Deshaun Watson acquisition. That was literally the downfall there in Cleveland.
Owners have no clue what the fuck they're doing, and they should leave it to the guys.
Yeah. Stick to the gas and oil business and let the Browns print money for you. You don't have to be fucking idiots. So
correct. Or let the Browns lose money. You're already printing money in the oil industry.
Well, let's be clear. The Browns, no NFL team loses money.
Correct. The Raiders fired Pete Carroll. That one was a little surprising. That one felt a little surping. The Falcons,
I mean, that was a hiring that never should have taken place.
That's what I was just gonna say. Is it feels like Phillip Rivers? Why the fuck did he come back?
Yeah.
I think he was bored in his front office role and wanted to get back on the field.
That's probably what it was.
Yeah. The Falcons clean house. They fire Raheem Morris. All I know is I remember almost 2 years ago to the day when they hired Raheem Morris. I said, why? That was my, I said one word and it was why. So, and he's already getting head coaching interviews. This would be his if he gets hired again, his third failed.
Ari Mirov made a really interesting point on his podcast. He was talking about how if you look at a lot of the teams that are putting in requests or that are lining up for interviews, they're coaches that currently aren't employed, or they're not on playoff teams. And a lot of the reason or at least that he points out, is teams are kind of trying to respect the, hey, let the guy plan for the first playoff game kind of thing. But we don't want to hang up our process too long if you keep right on going. But, we'll let you get through the first round of games kind of thing. So I think the Cardinals are the only team that actually put in a request to interview a coordinator that is currently playing this weekend or coaching this weekend, excuse me.
Either way, stupid. Terry Fontenot, GM, gone. CEO, Rich McKay, gone. They also restructure Kirk Cousins' contract. It drops his base over, almost $33 million and guaranteed for 2027 that vests on March 13th.
Long story short, he still gets his money, allows the Falcons to basically part ways, and he can sign a new contract and get, double the money.
The cap is crap, folks. That's all you need to know. Is that
if they designate him a post June 1st cut and they release him, they're able to stretch the dead cap hits over 2 seasons. That's really what the point of that is.
Money is irrelevant. The Saints are over $100 million over the cap every single year and somehow still sign people. So that's all you need to know about this whole situation, is it never mattered. The Commanders part ways with Cliff Kingsbury. Sure. The Lions fire their offensive coordinator, John Morton. Obviously.
I kind of told everybody this wasn't going to work. Whatever.
I mean, yeah. I just don't like his name. I feel like John Morton isn't really, it's not flashy. Then again, neither is Ben Johnson. That's also a white ass name. They just have a bunch of white ass, Dan Campbell. A bunch of
what they do.
White ass names.
So,
Anyways, despite the unbelievable defense of the Dallas Cowboys, as stated by Ryan earlier this season, the Cowboys have fired defensive coordinator Matt Eberflus.
No comment.
Just a few weeks after releasing Pro Bowl corner in one of Ryan's favorite corners, Trayvon Diggs. So that vaunted secondary of the Dallas Cowboys, beware. Matt Eberflus gone. Ryan, any words on that?
Just respect me in this time of morning.
Okay, perfect. Colts are set to retain both Shane Steichen and Chris Ballard. And the Bucs set to retain Todd Bowles. That's probably one of the bigger shocking ones here.
Yeah.
And the biggest news is Baltimore has fired John Harbaugh after 18 seasons. We were calling for his firing like 2 years ago. So
honestly.
There was also an event during the season where everybody kind of pointed the finger and was like, yeah, his time's done there. I don't remember what it was anymore. But there was something that happened during the season where it just showed how out of touch he was. And we're like, yeah, it's over.
Well, and I remember, I think it was, oh crap, I'm blanking on it. Anyway, the National Reporter posted something on Threads about how, just it kind of felt weird. He's such a respected head coach, and maybe because so many teams are lining up to sign him that the Ravens made a mistake. And I was like, I think back to when Philly fired Andy Reid. Obviously, we know the success that Andy Reid went on to with Kansas City. Goes, drafts Patrick Mahomes, wins 3 Super Bowls, etc. It's okay to make these moves because sometimes within that specific locker room, the voice becomes stale.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean that they're not a good coach. It just means that what they're doing right now within that space, it's not working. That doesn't mean that that's not going to translate in another locker room, because leading up to that point, Kansas City sucked. They needed a new voice. They needed somebody that, hey, Andy Reid had been to 5 NFC championship games, had been to 1 Super Bowl in his time in Philadelphia. That's a voice that can gain respect in a locker room for an organization that hasn't seen much success in 30 years.
I would like to bring up a stat that makes John Harbaugh very mediocre. Him and Mike McCarthy have the same win percentage, separated by 0.002. They each have 1 Super Bowl. Mike McCarthy is noted as Mike the Monkey on this show, rightfully so. He's a moron. But him and John Harbaugh are the same guy.
Yeah. Harbaugh has a losing record against Mike Tomlin, and we've been talking about how, I don't want to say overrated. I know, Joe, you think Mike Tomlin is very overrated. But again, another coach has been with a team for an extremely long time, has 1 Super Bowl to show for
it. Here's why I can say Mike Tomlin's overrated. I'm consistent. I think Drew Brees is overrated. Why is Drew Brees overrated? Below 500 playoff win percentage. 4 of those wins came in 1 year when they won the Super Bowl, and he's a regular season warrior. What has Mike Tomlin done since 2010 was their last Super Bowl, right? Against Green Bay. Green Bay won that one. Whenever their last Super Bowl was in the late 2000s, early 2010s. What has he done since then? Outside of be really good in the regular season.
I'd say win more games than he lost.
But by 1 for the last 5 seasons.
It's easy to shit on that, but if you take every other coach who coached during that period of time, it's...
I agree, Ryan. I completely agree with that.
I mean, we have this fight every year. Just pick the episode. So.
It's not to say that he's bad. He's just heavily overrated. Win all you want in the regular season. What the fuck does it matter if you can't win anything?
I'll give you that. You need playoff wins.
I mean, it also boils down to when you're one team of 32, the odds are always stacked against you, and not every season's going to be the same. Joe, You're just spoiled because you had Bill Belichick for your coach for 20 years.
Well, I'm not arguing that.
I mean, but if you want to go the knock on Tomlin is the lack of preparation and planning and execution post Ben Roethlisberger.
But is that a Tomlin thing or is it an organization failure?
I think he has a huge hand in that.
That's fair. Yeah, because I mean, you get a lot of these veteran coaches that don't want to invest in a young signal caller. They're like, I don't have time for this shit. Give me a veteran.
Roethlisberger fell into their lap and they did jack shit. I wrote this in an article a few years ago when they drafted somebody. I said, why do we have any faith in them? It wasn't Pickett. It was before Pickett. Why do we have any faith in them developing a quarterback? It's not fucking happening. So.
Yeah, especially with Arthur Smith as your coordinator.
Yeah.
Offensive coordinator. No, it's not happening.
Stale franchise. Also, one that you didn't add because it's going to come with the coaching carousel. Jonathan Gannon out as the Arizona Cardinals.
Oh, yeah. We talked about him on
everything
Monday's
else
show, so.
happened.
There you go.
Like,
Just,
right
just
after
bring
the
them
show.
up
That's fair.
on the news and notes. Let's just quickly go. We don't need explanations or anything like that, but who lands where? Ryan, Arizona.
I'm going to be honest. I'm not prepared for this at all.
This is fine.
I'm not the person who I care more about when they land. I don't care about the firing. So, I mean, if you two want to go at this, I'll
How about that? We'll play it like this. I'm going to go through the head coach firings and you say, do they land somewhere or do they not land somewhere? And if you think they land somewhere, with who? Kevin Stefanski, Ryan.
Oh, 100%. Probably the hottest commodity. If Harbaugh hadn't been fired, Stefanski was the hottest commodity. Harbaugh and Stefanski, instant jobs.
Josh.
I have him going to Atlanta.
I think Stefanski ends up in Baltimore. Pete Carroll, we're all on the no train there, I would imagine.
Done. Yeah, he's done.
Raheem Morris, reluctantly, I'm going to say yes, but he shouldn't.
Just based on the news, it sounds like it's a yes.
Yeah.
I think he's going to end up as a defensive coordinator. I think he either lands with Washington and Dan Quinn, or if the Rams defensive coordinator Chris Shula gets a job, I think he goes back with McVay in Los Angeles.
Raheem Morris should have a job as a DC. I want that.
Yeah, I agree. He's not going to be a head coach, in my opinion.
No, he sucks as a head coach. He's a great defensive coordinator.
Yep.
Cliff Kingsbury. Probably.
Yes. Josh brought up a really interesting point. I'll let you make it, Josh, about what role he might be in.
Yeah, I think he's going to land as an OC, and I think Baltimore stays with their defensive identity, and I think they bring in a defensive head coach, and it's going to be a young defensive head coach. I have Jesse Minter going there because of the connections that Baltimore has with the Ravens and the Harbaugh family in general. Minter was with Jim in Michigan, followed him to the Chargers. I think there's going to be that link there. Minter becomes the head coach at Baltimore, and I think a young head coach whose specialty is on defense is going to want some experience on the offensive side. With what Kingsbury does inside the 5-yard line, you tell me Baltimore's not the perfect situation for him in that. Like, I think that scheme is set up perfectly for him.
To me, I know we're not huge fans of him as a coach on the show, and honestly, I'd also prefer he be a coordinator because I think he's a better coordinator than a coach. One of these teams with a young quarterback should throw the bag at him. So I'm looking specifically at Atlanta, Cleveland, the Giants, and Tennessee. Get your young quarterback an offensive-minded coach. I would prefer he be your offensive coordinator, but it's sort of the Liam Cohen situation. If you have to give him the fucking head coaching job, give him the head coaching job. Get a young quarterback with an offensive-minded coach. Stop with these defensive fucking coaches. So,
I mean, despite that, Mike McDonald's the 1 seed in the NFC
with a veteran quarterback.
Vrabel's the 2 seed
with a established, a good quarterback and an offensive coordinator who has worked with quarterbacks throughout his career. So.
Correct. I'm just saying, let's not knock defense here. I'm just saying, let's not.
No,
knock
I'm saying
defense.
with young quarterbacks, you want an offensive-minded coach. McDaniel being the exception.
I'll disagree with that. Then you have obviously John Morton and Matt Eberflus. No shot. No chance.
Eberflus will get a retread somewhere. He always fucking does. So.
Well, as a coordinator, not as a coach.
Yeah. Oh, no, not as a head coach.
Yeah. As a coordinator, yes. And I've said that I think John Harbaugh ends up in Tennessee. I think that's the most desirable situation.
Yeah, Harbaugh and Stefanski. I mean, they have their pick of the litter. There was the report after Harbaugh that 7 teams called him immediately. There are only 7 teams looking for coaches, and one of them is Baltimore. So somebody's job.
I think it's Miami.
Threatened. There you go.
There's a lot of reports that Stephen Ross and John Harbaugh are kind of tight, and it would not surprise me one bit.
Yeah,
but no, I think Harbaugh goes to the Giants. That's what I think.
I don't think he goes to New York. He's not going to chill in that New York media. Sorry, he's not built for that.
I mean, that's fair, but I think there's enough pieces there that they've put in on offense. I think the biggest question is going to be, will Harbaugh and Joe Schoen coexist? Because the way that it seems to be reporting right now is that Joe Schoen actually prefers Stefanski over John Harbaugh.
So here's why I list those things, and I'm going to bring up who's Knucklebuster again? Is that Joe?
That's Joe Ortiz.
Okay, it's fucking ats on StreamYard. I will bring up his point because we're talking this here. I don't know why nobody's pointing at Tennessee. I think Tennessee is the most desirable location.
I think they bring in Joe Brady from Buffalo.
That's stupid. He's gonna flame out. That's stupid.
Well, I just think they'll go the young OC route. That's what I think. And I think
fine.
I think with Joe Brady's scheme, I think would be perfect for someone like Cam Ward, where it's just spread the football around. It's not, own in on one particular player. It's
then
find the guy that's open.
Then go wow him and get him as your offensive coordinator. Yeah. Head coach. Go get a fucking head coach. And John Harbaugh is a head coach. Okay? As much as we shit on him over the last 2-3 seasons because he does blow leads and he's been overrated, he is a good head coach if he needs to go in there. You have a good young quarterback. Why? And we can argue that the Giants have that too. He's also a bonehead, doesn't know how to keep his head in terms of literally he's getting concussions. And Cam Scatterboo, also a fucking maniac who is going to continue to get hurt. So you have very injury-prone, high-level players that you have to deal with.
I would argue Atlanta is the most desirable landing spot.
You don't have a quarterback.
No one's.
That's what I would agree with you. Somebody brought this up. Falcons fan in the office today said, "What about Atlanta?" I said, "You don't know Michael Penix."
I was going to say it depends on what your opinion of Michael Penix is.
And I like Michael Penix, but the injuries are the history is there, and
that's
they have
fair. That's really fair.
They have zero high draft capital. They don't have any draft capital. Now you don't really need it with the targets and weapons that you have in that system, but
now you're coming up on you have to pay Drake London. Kyle Pitts is a free agent.
Okay. You're going to have to pay Bijan.
I was going to say, Cam Ward's contract is interesting, but then that still lends itself to the Giants because you got Dart, Scatterboo, and Neighbors under that contract.
And my point with Dart is he is
how long do you have Dart? Yeah.
How long do you have Dart? How many games do you have him for? Cam Ward played every single game behind a bad offensive line. And now, granted, they're going to get better. The weapons weren't horrendous. Let's be real. Alec Ayomaner and Shamir DK probably aren't great, but Cam Ward made them okay. He made them serviceable.
That's really fair when you
and that's why I say, like, I think Tennessee is going to go that veteran route. I think Calvin Ridley becomes a cap casualty. I think DJ Moore is ripe for the picking. I think Chicago will more than likely get rid of him. I think that's a deal that can be made. You put him in with Tennessee, and again, you bring in someone like a Joe Brady that can spread the offense around, and now you've got a better number one than a Khalil Shakir. You've got DJ Moore, you've got Ayomaner, you've got DK. I think that's a solid top three that can really fit with what Joe Brady wants to do on offense.
And while the whole of their defense is a shell of what it was maybe 2-3 seasons ago, you have the best.
I think they're at pick 4. This is a very deep edge class.
You have the best interior defensive lineman in the NFL, bar none. It is Jeffrey Simmons.
Absolutely.
So you have that piece to build around, and he's still in his, I think, late 20s. Like he's still very much
28 or 29.
Yeah, he's still very much prime years. So that's why I think Tennessee is the most.
No, I'm with you. I love Tennessee as a landing spot. Again, for me, I think they're going to go the young OC, hotshot OC.
That's
route.
fair.
So
totally fair.
Or that's ultimately what they would want to do.
That's the trend, isn't it? That's the trend.
Is,
yeah. Fuck that shit. Anyways, from Jeff. Happy New Year's, guys. Placed third with the 12-2 record. Josh helped me win third place with the Giants defense. Shout out. Wow.
Congrats.
That was when they played the Raiders, I assume.
Yeah.
Shout out to Deontay.
That was when Ryan was giving me a bunch of pushback.
Hilariously.
Deontay Banks touchdown.
Hilariously, Josh, Fantasy Pros just put out their Week 17 analyst rankings today. Mm-hmm. I was the number 1 ranker in defense and special teams.
Fuck yeah, that's awesome.
Money.
Wait, for the whole season or just that week?
No, just for Week 17.
Okay.
I was number 32 on running backs. That was my best position this year. So,
for Jeff, what's your take on the recent Rashee Rice news? Did I see he's domestic abuse again? Did I see that?
Right now, it's just from what I understand, like an Insta post allegation. So I'm gonna hold back comment because there's a lot to come from this still.
Yeah,
so.
The team did officially release a statement. They said that they're cooperating with the league, and they aren't commenting further, basically. So
the only thing that worries me, and let me be clear, domestic violence is disgusting. If he did anything, punish him to the fullest extent. The thing that bothers me about it is how many more off seasons are we dealing with Rashee Rice getting in trouble? That's a red flag.
My dynasty team would like it to be 0.
Yeah, exactly.
Ideally,
well, that starts next year.
Not
I guess.
0. Yeah, it's not.
Yeah,
0.
I was talking actually with Sam Holt and Derek Tate from Sideline Banter crew, and we were kind of talking about it. And long and short of it is, I'm really tired of professional sports franchises. And this isn't just the NFL; it's across all the leagues, giving basically pieces of shit second, third, fourth chances simply because they're talented athletes that can help them make money. Like it's just the capitalistic nature of America and society, and it's greed straight up. But at the end of the day, pieces of shit stay pieces of shit. That's what I have to say about the subject. So,
Josh Gordon smoked weed.
That's a little different. That's
no, I'm just saying, like that's talent.
Well, yeah, and again, like you punish a guy for smoking weed, yet you're giving $100 million+ contracts to domestic violence abusers. Like, what are we doing? It's just whatever.
Yep. And I'll answer this. Breeze is better. Let's get this. Breeze is better. I think it's a lot closer than people might think.
I don't have a distinct opinion, but I would have always kind of looked at these two as equal. I don't know if that's the general perspective. So.
It's Breeze ever so slightly. It's not by a lot, but it's Breeze ever so slightly.
I mean, the Super Bowl kind of.
This again, I'm going like regular season, how they are as a player. If I had to go there, I would probably take Breeze over a full season. Guys, Phillip Rivers is really fucking good. Phillip Rivers is the Hall of Great. He's not the Hall of Fame. He's the Hall of Great. Sure. And I think Drew Brees is like top 5 Hall of Great. Is he in the Hall of Fame? He's not in the Hall of Fame yet. He is.
I think this is first year of eligibility.
Is his first year eligibility? He'll make the Hall of Fame. To me, he's Hall of Great. Obviously, he has all the records, but one Super Bowl, below 500 playoff record. If Peyton Manning's defense didn't carry him in Super Bowl 50 in that whole playoff run, Peyton would have ended his career below 500 in the playoffs with one Super Bowl win. Him and Breeze would be in the same breath.
Yeah.
We want to look at it at, whole perspective here. It is a lot closer than I think people believe. So, all right, into the fantasy MVPs. Qualifications. Complete biasm. No stats. Most productive. Who is your fantasy MVP just based on overall production this season? Best value relative to ADP. So obviously, if a guy went 101 and they finished 101, spoiler alert, they didn't. But
yeah,
if that happened, well, it was meant to happen. So unless they are 150 points ahead of the next person, they're not really, considered the MVP. Through this criteria, and featured on most championship rosters. So who are you happy to have on your fantasy football teams during the fantasy football playoffs? There's 3 pretty prevalent guys, but we'll go through the whole list of players to consider. Again, this is based off of Fantasy Pros PPR scoring. This is players to consider. At the quarterback position, Josh Allen, Drake Maye, Matt Stafford.
Top 3.
Those are your top 3 quarterbacks to end the season.
Yep.
Just for an idea of ADP, Josh Allen was, I believe...
He was the 101 at quarterback.
He was the 101 at quarterback?
Yeah.
Drake Maye was 16th.
Yep.
Matt Stafford was 23rd. Whew. There you go. Christian McCaffrey, Bijan Robinson, Jahmyr Gibbs, Jonathan Taylor, Devon Achane. In that order, those guys finished 1 through 5.
Yeah.
And then at the receiver position, Puka Nacua, Jackson Smith-Njigba, and Jamar Chase. And then at the tight end, Trey McBride, and the field. So there you go, guys.
Trey McBride was in a class of himself at tight end.
Yeah.
Yep. Trey McBride was kind of vibing by himself. Now, I would say we could probably add that if Brock Bowers played the full 17, we could put Brock Bowers.
Even if you look at points per game, scored, Trey McBride was, I have my notes here, 3.9 points per game higher than the tight end too.
Slow down, son. This is all my notes.
No, I know. That's just the only thing I want to, because Ryan, I want literally this is the one that you chose. Take it away.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's positional advantage. While I am the spokesperson for streaming tight end, I know how to win fantasy football. And if there is a distinct positional advantage like Travis Kelce was for so many years, you had to jump on that. That was Trey McBride this year. And Josh really lit the spark that turned into this fire for me, because when we were debating early in the season, Bowers versus McBride, Josh, you had the best point of anybody I had heard is, doesn't McBride by definition have more upside because he's going later than Bowers? And that clicked for me, and I have way more McBride than I do Bowers.
You're welcome. See, I did more than just turn people away from JSN.
I think Josh's numbers may be a little off here because based on what I was seeing, Trey McBride was 6 points better than the tight end 2 in points per game and 8 points better than the tight end 8. By the way, tight ends 8 through 10 scored basically the exact same amount of points as they always do. Trey McBride was at 18 points per game. Tight end 8 through 10 were 10 points per game. Folks, that meant when you started Trey McBride, you were basically starting an extra player compared to the rest of your league because that 8 point per game gap, that's what the RB30 scored in PPR this season. That's what the wide receiver 45 scored in PPR this season. Trey McBride gave you an extra player every single week compared to the rest of your league's tight end. Oh, by the way, he would have been the wide receiver 4 based on his points. And then when you just look at the season as a whole, more catches than any tight end ever, back-to-back seasons with 110 catches and 1,100 yards. Plus, he adds 11 touchdowns this year, which was the big knock on him from last year. If you had him, it felt like starting an extra player every week. It was a positional advantage every week. That is your fantasy MVP. I will concede defeat later on in the show, but for this part, the regular season portion of the show, it's Trey McBride, and it's not close.
For the points per game, did you sort just by 1 through 17?
Oh, that's where it was. I included 18. So
no, I included 18 as well. That's why I was curious.
Oh, then maybe it was through 17. Maybe
I sorted on. I did it on Fantasy Pros, but I know, or Fantasy Pros with Fantasy Data. Fantasy Data will take 1 through 18, but if you sort on Fantasy Pros, you can actually sort customize like 1 through 17. So that's why I was curious.
100%.
That's where I came up with 18.6.
I included 18, and that's where he jumped Pitts by the extra couple of points per game. So that's exactly.
Yeah, no, Kyle Pitts was at 12.9 or something like that. I sorted just by points per game, not overall. Yeah. Like when you sort overall, then yeah, Kyle Pitts is 2. He's 105 points more than tight end.
Did then, Josh. I sorted. Okay, for this section, I focused on end of season rankings.
Yeah.
So Kittle did not qualify for this because of like the game.
No, and that's fine because now, again, like you want to take the full body of work into the equation. Yeah.
But I'm saying I now understand why our numbers were different from each other. I focused on total points. I did not focus just on points per game.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing. Like when you look at, targets, receptions, yards, touchdowns, like McBride leading the way by a lot. And then it's Kyle Pitts. And everybody was fading Kyle Pitts. And I got so much shit on our tight end ranking show for having Kyle Pitts as a top 10 tight end this season.
Yeah. I mean, what's interesting is there are players. Someone was mentioned in the chat, James Cook and Travis Etienne. Mm-hmm. In any other season,
Etienne was a big fade because of the Bashal Tootin and Tank Bigsby.
Well, Cook was a fade. There was the holdout or the injury or something.
Well, it was the holdout, and then he's gonna have touchdown regression, blah blah blah, and like I know there was at one point when I was doing my rankings that he was I think RB7, and I think he landed as my RB11 by season's end, but yeah, like and for me it was the touchdowns are gonna drop some, but I think there's room for improvement in pass catching, and that's why I never was off on Cook.
Well, the only point I was gonna make here is with Kyle Pitts, Travis Etienne, James Cook. Any other year they may have cracked this conversation, but their positions were so dominated at the top this year. You can't call a guy who finished RB8 the league MVP. I don't care where you drafted him.
So. No, 100%. Make some good value. Absolutely. League MVP. Or fantasy MVP? Yeah. No, not going that far.
So anyways, Christian McCaffrey. One game in the single digits, and it was 9.8.
Oh, wow. I didn't even look at that. That's funny.
One game in the single digits, and it was 9.8. His lowest scoring game outside of that was 15.7. That was his lowest scoring game outside of that 9.8, which came in literally smack dab middle season in week 8. So you're looking at multiple 30-point games, including in your fantasy playoffs with 32.6. And how about a 28-point game for most of you, your championship in week 17. I know for me, it was in my championship. So that was a great week for Mr. Christian McCaffrey. Again, he was for many people, I wouldn't say a fade to start.
There were a lot of people that were fading him because of the injury.
Agreed. Well, here's the thing. He started off at like RB10, then he moved up to like RB4. So
I was
like,
gonna say he came in as my RB4 preseason.
yeah, like I know people, it was like his ADP was like RB10, and then it started creeping up. I was like, okay, well, he's going to play. And I was the same boat. I drafted him 2 years ago, and when that whole Kyle Shanahan fucked everybody over with that Achilles injury, it's like, okay, well, that sucks. And then, but this is what seems to happen with Christian McCaffrey, is the year off and the year on, and this year on, and now we won't draft him next year because it'll be his year off. And if you've been on Twitter today, the electromagnetic field and pulses of the San Francisco 49ers practice field, I think that's pretty cool science there. If you haven't seen it, I don't know who published it, but it's very cool that they practice next to a field that's like basically emits electromagnetic pulses, which then fucks with soft tissue and things like that. And the 49ers have been the most injured team in the NFL since 2014 when they moved to Levi Stadium. So, I mean, pretty good correlation there.
Yeah, it's weird.
I want to say this really quick about McCaffrey. When you look at what he did in total points and points per game this season, first off, more fantasy points scored this season than anyone across any position. That obviously translated to the highest points per game, 24.5. Since 2020, this season for Christian McCaffrey was the highest scoring total at the running back position, and it just beat his performance from 2023.
Correct.
By 26 fantasy points.
So 2023, baller. 2024, dud. 2025, baller.
And this is what's hilarious. He was our, like, because of the injury, he was really our LVP last year.
Yep.
Like, I just find it hilarious. Yeah.
Listen, I'm happy. I drafted Christian McCaffrey on a lot of my teams that I was sitting there in the middle of the first round.
Screaming value where he was falling to the second in many leagues. So.
It was something too where we were sitting there I believe the rankings were Bijan was the one.
Bijan was my one, yeah.
Bijan was the one. Jahmyr Gibbs was the two.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And Saquon was the 3.
There were a lot of people that had Saquon 1, 2, or 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Saquon was 6 for me. I had Achane and McCaffrey ahead of him.
I was going to say, which we all said on the show, don't draft Saquon Barkley.
Yep.
And we are going to say this going into next season. Don't draft Christian McCaffrey because people are going to draft him at the 101.
101.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to be unsatisfied with that pick.
We did our way too early mock draft on Monday, and I said on that show, right now, this instant, I wasn't able to get him above RB5, and that could still fall as the season moves on.
Yeah, and that's the thing is I think that what Christian McCaffrey has shown over his career is that when he plays, he has the highest upside of any running back in the NFL.
And he's like starting a second quarterback, which is a cheat code. So.
Or a running back and a wide receiver because of what he's able to do catching the football. It's a clear indication, and this season proved it. His rushing is not where it used to be at all. Like he was 3.6, 3.7 yards per carry.
His efficiency was really bad.
It was so bad. And
how was he in the receiving game?
That's the thing. Led all running backs in receptions, yards, he was 76 yards short of 1,000 season. And he's already done that once. Like, that's how talented this guy is. So, like, if you're trying to, like, going into 2026 and you want to make the case for Christian McCaffrey as a top 1, 2, 3 running back, like, I'm not going to fight you that much on it because I get it. Like, he is a cheat code. But history tells you he's not going to repeat it.
Yeah.
So...
Yes. So
at his projected ADP, yes, avoid him 100%.
If we came in and Christian McCaffrey was a high second round pick,
I'm snatching him up all day.
And
if I only get 4 games out of him, so be it. They're going to be the best 4 fucking games of the season.
You have 4 guaranteed wins.
Yep.
Here's the thing. I can't have only 4 guaranteed wins with my number 1 overall pick, which is where he's probably going to be as the top 3 pick.
Yeah.
Which exactly. can't swing like that with McCaffrey next season. So that's a tough thing with him. My last thing on Christian McCaffrey is it's not even about him. I am just imagining Matt Forte playing in today's NFL, and kids, if you think Christian McCaffrey's good, go look at what Matt Forte. I'm not comparing the two. Just listen here, okay? Matt Forte had over 100 receptions.
Yeah. He did.
Like Matt Forte was.
He was the first and the second one to ever do it, right? Because Tomlinson did it as well.
Tomlinson was the first. Forte was the second. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Matt Forte was for real. He is not Christian McCaffrey. Christian McCaffrey's a million times better. But if Matt Forte was playing in today's NFL,
he'd have been good.
I think we'd be having a conversation that Matt Forte would be a top 5 running back.
If LaDainian Tomlinson was playing in today's NFL, he would be the greatest running back
of all time.
Yeah.
It's not even a question. Yeah. If LT played today, he'd be the greatest running back of all time. Adrian Peterson and Frank Gore played in the right era. LT did not play in the right era, and he still was insane.
He was great for he was what we're talking about McCaffrey right now for 3 consecutive seasons. Like never
31 touchdowns, children. I know we don't have a lot of younger kids watch the show, but 31 touchdowns in a season.
He was my favorite. He was my favorite player to ever watch.
And 28 of those were rushing touchdowns.
Yeah.
Insane. Crazy. All right, Josh. Puka Nacua.
Yeah, I kind of debated Nacua over JSN or JSN over Puka, excuse me. But when you look at what Puka was able to do, he did better than JSN from a full numbers perspective in one less game. Yeah. He finished as the wide receiver 1 overall, scoring 375 fantasy points and points per game, 23.4. Again, in only 16 games. He's one of only 3 players to average 10 or more targets per game. And I want to preface this. Trey McBride finished with 9.999 targets per game because he had 169 in 17 games.
That's hilarious.
But Puka was 2.2 points per game higher than JSN, who played a full season and had more receiving yards over him. He's one of only 2 wide receivers over 20 fantasy points per game and one of only 4 wide receivers with over 300 fantasy points this season. But when you get down to the nuts and bolts of it, he had 10 out of 16 games where he scored more than 20 fantasy points. And he had only 1 game this season with less than 13 fantasy points. And that game he left early due to an ankle injury.
Yeah.
That's how consistent Puka Nacua was. His preseason ADP was at wide receiver 6, which was picked 12 overall. So he was a fringe first round pick. Like I got him in the second round of Scott Fishbowl, which I thought was a freaking steal. Yep. But there were teams literally in 10-team drafts that got him as a second round pick.
Yep. Would you like me to list my top 3 picks? They're going to make everyone angry. Christian McCaffrey, Puka Nacua, Chase Brown.
Yeah.
I mean, and there are literally like leagues that were like that. And
yep.
Like I said, when you look at JSN, you can point to him being an MVP candidate because like for me personally, I had him as my wide receiver 27. I was very out on JSN and how he would fit in this Clint Kubiak system. But when you look at everybody else around him, they did not even look at anybody else other than JSN. You can say the same thing for Puka Nacua, but he was able to do all of this while Devontae Adams scored the most receiving touchdowns by a wide receiver. Not only that, of this season, and he hasn't scored since November.
Dog.
That's how impressive a season Devontae Adams put up, and Nacua was still able to do what he did.
But is it as impressive as Garrett Wilson not catching a pass since September and leading the Jets in receiving yards at 395 yards? Okay.
Well, I think the other part about
what's more impressive?
The other part about Nacua is the 78% catch rate for the amount of targets.
He doesn't fucking drop anything.
Yeah.
I have not seen a ball hit his hands and it fall to the ground.
Yeah, I think when I was looking at it, I think he was 3rd in catch percentage amongst players with 60 or more targets. And I think the highest was actually Luther Burden, which was crazy.
That doesn't count. He probably barely cracked that fucking list.
Stephon Diggs had 83%.
That's who was number 1. Was
at 102 targets.
I'd argue Steph's more open than Puka sometimes.
I mean,
Steph's in the slot.
I was going to say, and Diggs is a good football player. It's not
he's fantastic.
Yeah, so.
Puka Nacua is on another fucking level.
I mean, 77.7, 78% catch rate on 163 targets is absurd.
And you have to imagine probably 10% of those are uncatchable.
Yeah, where it was just tossed over his head because Stafford needed to get rid of the ball.
So we could realistically say about 85 to 90% of his
1,000%.
he caught.
Yep.
And the only one I can think of that he dropped, which by NFL rules, it was a drop, shouldn't have been, but the 4th down in Atlanta on the sideline where the airtight coverage, one hand, back shoulder, and he bobbles it for half a second going out of bounds. Should be a catch. By NFL rules, it isn't, and I respect that. I think it should be a catch. I didn't see him drop a fucking ball this year. He's insane.
Great player.
Absolutely insane.
Dog.
Absolutely crazy. All right, so those are your overall season productions right there. Remember, like, subscribe if you have not already. I know we have a lot of our UGs here in the chat, which we appreciate all you guys. And now we're looking at best value Fantasy Pros PPR ADP, of course. So these are the best values at each position. This is going through QBs, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends. Josh hates kickers.
I made the list. I did not do kickers or defense.
Bitches.
There is no value there. That's why.
Yeah, exactly.
I noticed that Brian Burns IDP defensive lineman isn't on.
I should have added IDP for you on here.
Isn't on this list. That's my MVP is Brian Burns.
No shit.
Respectfully. Okay. Best value. Drake Maye. At QB 16.
End of discussion.
End of discussion. I have QB 16. This show told you going into the season, you should probably wait and take Justin Herbert or Drake Maye.
One worked out for the whole season. One worked out till week 10.
One worked out for like 10 weeks, stopped for 4, and then had a couple decent ones, but you didn't play him because he sucked for those 4 leading up to the playoffs. I also want to say I added it. I was on Matt Stafford. I wasn't on him this much, but I was on Matt Stafford. I hated Trevor Lawrence. Fuck that guy.
He was my QB 13.
I think wherever he was going, I was like, sure, that's fine. I think he was at QB 17 or 18 or something like that. I'm like, yeah, that's fine. I had no faith in Liam Cohen. After he said Duval, I had zero faith in Liam Cohen. And then Brock Purdy. Obviously, he missed his 8 weeks, but in terms of points per game, he was
had to talk about fantastic.
Yep. At the running back position, Javonte Williams. Shout out. Dog status.
Yeah. He was my RB 41 going into the season.
You know who scored more points than him, though? 12. Ashton Genty. Anyways. Again, we're talking about Javonte had a good season. Ashton Genty scored more points. That's all I'm saying. Yeah. You're much happier if you had Javonte Williams in the 17th
with the
round.
cost. Exactly.
Yeah, correct. Travis Etienne, DeAndre Swift, who we were all over in the preseason.
Yep.
Jalen Warren, another one we were all over. Shout out his backup, Kenneth Gainwell.
Back-to-back, they finished in rankings this year.
So. Shout out. And Rico Dowdle, 550 yards in 2 games, and then 500 the other 14. So
still a decent value for what he gave you on the season.
550 yards in 2 games and 500 the rest of the season. I stand by that statement. I stand by the statement that I think Rico Dowdle.
So
it's math.
Yeah.
For somebody that hates numbers, listen to him.
I think he's overrated. I think that's wildly overrated.
I mean, honestly, as you say it, I probably didn't need to include him.
He gave you
list,
2 weeks.
I was just looking at
arguably Chuba Hubbard gave you more production.
Yeah.
So, George Pickens. Fuck you, Josh. Chris Olave. Well, Josh hated George Pickens for years. He was fine.
Oh, okay. Because I was like, we were all pretty well on.
Yeah, he was fine with him going into this year. Yeah. But whatever. He's gonna suck next year. I stand by that. This is his Mike Williams contract year. See ya. Chris Olave. We all said take a shot on him late. Devontae Adams. Why he was wide receiver 22 made no sense to us, but he was there. And Michael Wilson. Dog.
The waiver wire ad of the season.
Yep. Dog status. Wan'Dale Robinson, king, short king. Rashee Rice, obviously with the 6-game suspension, he was virtually
wide receiver 4 in points per game.
He was a free wide receiver 1 in the 8th round.
Yep.
Actually, no, his ADP was all over the place over the summer. At one point, it was like the 2nd round, then it was like 6, 7, 8, then it was right back up to the 3rd.
What round was it? What round was it?
6, 7. Yeah.
6, 7. Thank you. I think in my league he mostly went in the 7th and 8th round.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's where I got him and why I had to include him on this list. So
yep, he was a wide receiver 1 that was free.
Yep.
And then R.I.P. Tucker Kraft, not dead, just injury in week 3 or 4.
got hurt.
Oh God, was it that early? And I
No,
included
it
him?
wasn't that early.
Okay, I was
It was
like,
like,
not that
I think
early?
it was like week 7 or 8.
Okay, I was gonna say I thought he had a few more games, or else I wouldn't have included him.
No, you're fine with including it. Was it really?
Yeah, it was. Let me see real quick. Hang on.
God, now I feel
Nine.
like an
And he
idiot.
got hurt. I don't know why I thought it was much.
Okay, I feel so much better because I'm like, God, that was a terrible.
Yeah, he
inclusion.
played 8 games. So,
Yeah,
Okay.
I thought it was. I thought it was
That's
much
kinda what-
earlier
and
than
they
that.
had their
tried to-
bye in week 5. So.
I tried
Yeah.
to use 8 games as like my
No, you're fine.
filter.
You're fine. And then Harold Fannin, shout out the rookie who
That was another waiver wire, Jim.
feels like we should have probably seen coming, considering the guy set tight end records in college
Yep.
at a Division
Well, I
One.
mean,
He's
the
on-
whole
he's
question
on
was going to be
NCAA?
how involved was David Njoku going to
Wide
be? That was the whole
receivers
thing.
Yeah, he's granted it is Bowling Green. It is the MAC conference, but it's still Division One football, and he was able to set some records. So,
Yeah.
Jarrett Patterson's 6 touchdown game for Buffalo is still up there, and he played in the MAC as well. Okay, going through some of these. My beloved and Michael May's husband.
I'll try to make this quick. So ADP was QB.
You don't have to.
16,
I'll sit here.
obviously finished QB. Well, I'm doing it. I want to try to go quick because we've got a lot of these highlighted, and we're at 50.
I'm ready.
So, but yeah, he was the QB 16 ADP. He finishes as a QB 2, 35 total touchdowns, over 450 rushing yards. We always talk about over 400 rushing yards. That's the cheat code for rushing when it comes to quarterbacks, and there weren't very many that had great rushing seasons at the quarterback position this year. The MVP case is what it is in real life NFL. I feel like it's probably going to come down to Stafford versus May. Everybody has their arguments for or against, etc. But this is where I want to talk about May over Stafford from a fantasy MVP perspective, because they finished as QB 2 and 3. May was 20.7 points per game. Stafford 20.6. Drake Maye had only one game under 15 fantasy points and not a single one under 12.
Can I guess it? Pittsburgh, week 4.
I didn't write down what week it was.
Oh,
Hold
okay.
on.
Bad research. Continue.
That's okay.
that?
But by contrast, Matthew Stafford had 6 games under 15 fantasy points. That just goes to show you how much more consistent Drake Maye was at the quarterback position than Matthew Stafford. Now, when you look at 20 plus point per games, yes, Stafford had 10 that were, 20 and above, but Drake Maye had 9. So not that much of a difference there. And both of them had 130 plus point game. So if you want to take the case of Stafford over May in terms of fantasy MVP, simply because Stafford was essentially free, like Stafford was my QB 26 heading into the season. And the dude had 1 rushing yard. But again, you talk about the career season of guys like Baker Mayfield last year, Joe Burrow with their 30, 40 plus touchdowns, right? This is essentially what you got from Matthew Stafford this year. Drake Maye was still going super cheap and did all of that plus the rushing, which tells me that his level of performance is a lot more sustainable going forward in future seasons, taking out of the equation how old Matthew Stafford is. But when you look at also too their playoff point performances, Matthew Stafford was the QB 4 in the fantasy playoffs at 22.9. Drake Maye was the QB 3, 26.2, excuse me. So 3.4 points per game higher when it mattered most.
Yeah.
That's why May is my choice here in this section over Stafford.
That game where he was under was the week 5 game against Buffalo.
Yeah.
There you go.
I looked it up.
Oh yeah, that was that weird ass game.
Yep. No arguments here. I love me some Drake Maye. And if you did play in a league where bonus points for over 30 and 40-yard passing touchdowns, Drake Maye got you a lot more than
massive 100%.
than the
Certainly a lot more than
17
Stafford.
than the 17 passing touchdowns that came within the 5-yard line and 13 that came at the 1.
That's what I'm saying. And by the way, for everybody that wants to give shit to Jalen Hurts for all these 1-yard touchdown runs that he has over the years, how is that any different than Matthew Stafford throwing 13 1-yard touchdowns?
Yeah.
Because when they look at the passing stats, it shows up in the passing stats.
Yeah,
When you look at the passing
it's
stats
bullshit.
for Hurts, it
A
shows
touchdown
up
is a
not there.
fucking touchdown.
Yep.
Yeah, but that's what a running back does. That's not what a quarterback does, Josh. Idiot.
Touchdown's a fucking touchdown.
This fucking guy. Ryan, DeAndre Swift. We're all on him.
Yeah, I was going to say victory lap here on DeAndre Swift. If you go back to our running back preview episode, at that time, his ADP was close to RB30. And I said, DeAndre Swift is the best value in fantasy football right now.
Not even
So
close.
he finishes as RB15. His ADP did creep all the way up to RB21. So good on the fantasy community. His second 1,000-yard season, 10 touchdowns scored, was still a legitimate wide receiver. He fit into this system. To me, it was easy to see, and what a value in drafts he was. So
100%.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was switching over to the running backs just to see, and it had Jonathan Taylor at the RB1. That was in standard. I was like, how the hell? I was like, what the
touchdowns,
fuck,
baby?
I was like, what is wrong with this? Yeah,
Yeah, if you're on quarterback and switch to any other position, it stays in standard for a second.
Yeah, I got very scared and confused there for a second. Another victory lap, George Pickens.
Yeah,
100%. Yeah, literally my quote from the offseason: Pickens will be what you're expecting T. Higgins to be in 2025, and you get him 3 rounds cheaper. T. Higgins went 33rd overall, wide receiver 12. Pickens went 63rd overall, the wide receiver 28. Pickens finished as the wide receiver 5.
I was going to say, talk about exceeding expectations.
He was the wide receiver 5, wide receiver 6 in points per game. And in the 3 weeks that CeeDee Lamb was out, he was the overall wide receiver 1 at 26.3 points per game. So he stepped up and was an overall wide receiver 1, which is what you wanted him to be in the event some, tragedy happened, right? 137 targets, 93 catches, 1,429 yards. My biggest issue with Pickens, was he going to score touchdowns? He scored 9 this season. Question answered.
Yeah.
17.2 fantasy points per game, as I mentioned, wide receiver 6. He had 5 games over 20 fantasy points, 8 over 15, 13 at 10 or more. But during the fantasy playoffs, he was only the wide receiver 16, scoring 14.7 points per game. You got the value. You got the value. He did not help you in the playoffs.
I sat him. Now, again, I had the luxury to be able to do that.
Yeah.
But I sat him in my fantasy playoffs because I didn't like his production he was having there. But he very much helped me get there.
100% he did.
Very much helped me get there. And even then, was he a horrible play in the fantasy playoffs? No, he just wasn't dropping 25 points, which is what he was doing most of the season. And yeah, just imagine if he cared. I mean this wholeheartedly. If George Pickens cared, we'd be talking about him up there with Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson. The dude's for real. He is.
No, he's a very talented player.
Unbelievable.
It's just not all there up here, and that's always been my knock with George Pickens. And again, he's not a great route runner. Still,
no.
Even, and again, he thrives on the 50-50 ball, and you need a certain type of quarterback to be able to do that, and he just never had that in Pittsburgh.
No, you need a gunslinger.
He's got that with Dak, obviously. Dak is not afraid to throw the football. And a lot of the rumors that I hear going around, Tennessee is going to throw a bag at George Pickens. It worries me a little bit, but Cam Ward is that similar mentality. He's not afraid to throw it in there, and that will help Pickens. So at the end of the day, it just boils down to what ecosystem is George Pickens going to be surrounded by. So,
former Georgia player in a nightlife city like Nashville. Yikes.
Yeah.
What's the speed limit there?
No.
Just God. Well, it's faster in Dallas. I wasn't sure what the speed limit was in Nashville. The Athens cops won't be there, so maybe he'll be fine. Wan'Dale Robinson, Ryan.
Your boy had one blurb in the Football Guys magazine that we brought back out this year, and it was about Wan'Dale fucking Robinson. And basically I said, what's to stop him from doing what he did last year? And he came out and did the exact same thing. I was talking to you guys about the most insane value I found while researching this show. Wan'Dale Robinson, your wide receiver 14 on the season, at all 17 games, had an ADP of wide receiver 63 and an overall ADP of 183, meaning he wasn't drafted.
I mean, you could argue best value.
Yeah. 92 catches after having 93 last year, 140 targets on back-to-back years, but he did something that we said he needed to do, improved his yards per catch from 7.5 all the way up to 11, giving him the first 1,000-yard season of his career.
On the verge of free agency, no less.
On the verge of free agency. He got himself a bag. He's a fun slot wide receiver. I'll be nervous to see where he ends up, but my goodness, it felt good being right about Wan'Dale Robinson this season.
Yeah, I mean, he was always going to be a value wherever he was going. Nobody saw this if Malik Neighbors is healthy all season. Just my personal opinion. But I mean, I understand he had 140 targets last year. Very different quarterback situation. They didn't throw the ball near as much this season versus last year.
That's fair.
But again, like, and the same argument could be made for Michael Wilson, for Trey McBride. Like,
well, yeah.
How are their seasons going to go next year when they're not throwing the football what feels like 40 times a game? You know what I mean? So,
well, it was 43 times a game for Jacoby Brissett. So
there you go.
I want to bring up, because I was thinking, oh, maybe Michael Wilson's the best value. No, Wan'Dale, you could argue, is probably the best value. Chris Olave also in that conversation. People might say Michael Wilson because he finishes the wide receiver 16 weeks 1 through 17.
Well, he was free in drafts.
Well, he was completely free. He didn't have a double-digit game until week 11.
Exactly. That's why it was hard to include him on any part of this list. So,
and then from week 11 on, he only had one game under 13 points. He had 2 over 30. Bro's on fire.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. He was on fire. But yeah, it's just putting in perspective that. And then the last guy, Rashee Rice.
Yeah. Just real quick about Rashee Rice. Obviously, we came into this knowing the games were going to be missed, but for him to finish wide receiver 5 in points per game deserved for him to be on this list. And in those 8 games he played, 5 of them were 18 plus fantasy points. He was certainly a value in drafts.
Wasn't helping much in the playoffs though without the
no, certainly, like I said, and that's why the show is segmented the way it is, because there are guys who we have not talked about yet who won people championships, and let's be clear, those are the real MVPs.
Facts.
I said going into the Dynasty playoffs, I did not like my team for the sole fact my receivers were either injured or have horrible matchups. So.
My home league, my starting wide receivers before everything went wrong were Devontae Adams, Rashee Rice, and Drake London.
Oof.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, that team died. So
yeah, that's cool. Anyways, playoff production. You know what's great is I've seen Drake Maye's name on all 3 of these lists.
Yeah, he's one of the only ones who made all 3 of the lists. Maybe the only one who made all 3 of the list.
Salivating, let me tell you.
I think he is the only one who, because he's the only one who you can call a value who also hit the other. Yes.
So what I'm hearing is he's the MVP.
I was going to say, do we need to change our MVP?
Do we need to change this? He's the fantasy MVP and the MVP VP. That's all I'm saying. Player production: Trevor Lawrence, Brock Purdy, Drake Maye at quarterback, running back Bijan Robinson, Derrick Henry. First time we've said that fucking name. Chase Brown
finished with over 1,500 rushing yards this season,
which is great. Well, the 200
it didn't feel like it. Yeah, it really didn't feel like it.
No, it did not. Chase Brown, shout out my king. Christian McCaffrey, wide receivers Puka Nacua, Chris Olave, Jamar Chase, tight ends George Kittle, Kyle Pitts. Shout out that 45-point game that he had.
It's pretty much carried him.
Pitts bald.
That kicked me in the nuts in one of my leagues. And Trey McBride would be your playoff production. Now, Trey McBride disappeared in week 16, but he was back for you in week 17.
Which technically makes him the LVP because he got you knocked out of the fantasy.
I was going to say, unless you survived the Trey McBride L in week 16, he wasn't much for you in week 17. We will start at the quarterback position. Trevor Lawrence, arguably the hottest quarterback the second half of the season.
Yeah, and so that's what I was going to throw at QB4 on the season, QB1 during the playoffs. During those 3 games, 900 passing yards, 100 rushing yards, and 12 total touchdowns. When you look at his overall season, he was 2nd most rushing touchdowns on the year, 5th most passing touchdowns on the year, and 4th most total touchdowns. But Joe, you actually hit on something I wanted to hit on, which was the anti-Trey McBride. This is what you want your quarterback's playoff scoring to look like. In week 14, Trevor Lawrence scored 44 points, ensuring you made it to the next round. In week 16, 31 points, probably ensuring you made it to the next round. In week 17, he came back down to earth, but still scored 24 points. But you were only facing one other person that week, so it probably didn't hurt you. Trevor Lawrence is the definition of what you wanted in the fantasy playoffs. Great, good, good enough.
And one of those games was in Denver, where I didn't think that Jacksonville was going to play well. So, but Apparently, I saw this. No game in Denver this whole season at kickoff has been below 60 degrees. What the fuck?
Global warming, man.
That's interesting.
Yeah, what the hell?
Like the altitude, yeah.
My big thing is the altitude, and they were playing there in December.
Yeah. Trevor Lawrence bald, man.
Can you at least get it to 40? Like, what are we? 60 degrees in Denver in December is like 90 in Florida. So what are we doing? Josh, Bijan Robinson.
Yeah, I had to throw him on this list because, well, I wanted to highlight him of all people simply because we've been shitting on really the upside of Bijan because of Tyler Algier and how many touchdowns he siphoned from, his potential and what he could do from a scoring perspective. But when you look at Bijan's season as a whole, you throw him 4 more of those touchdowns. We're talking about an all-time season here. And even without those, we're talking about that. Since 2020, he has the 6th best total score amongst running backs. He would have been the RB1 overall if he put up this last year. Would have been 2nd in 2023 behind CMC, 2nd in 2022 behind Eckler, 2nd to JT in 2021, and 2nd to Kamara in 2020.
So it feels like he's just not good enough is what you're saying.
No, but it's still that fucking good. Like, you score over 370 fantasy points, you're winning somebody championships. And when you take what he did in the fantasy playoffs, only Trevor Lawrence scored more fantasy points per game.
Yeah. I wanna just throw this out. There's a pat on the back to myself. I played against Bijan in the championship and beat that guy by 40 points.
Holy shit.
I'll list my roster. Continue.
But didn't you lose to Josh by what Bijan scored?
Basically.
Pretty much, yeah.
Because my home league, the same thing happened. The guy lost by what Bijan scored. So,
and again, that was when Rashee Rice out, Garrett Wilson out forever. We can't apparently find Ladd McConkey wide open in the back of the end zone because blind. Who else was? Brock Bowers IR.
On to Bijan.
What the fuck are we doing? Brock Bowers on IR. Michael Mayer 10 catches for 100 yards. Fuck you. I probably still would have lost because Bowers would have been the only replacement, but it would have been like by 10 points, and I could have maybe swallowed a little better. Anyways, yeah. So Bijan put up 49. He had Bijan, JSN, and Michael Wilson. Too bad that my large penis man has Drake Maye, Chase Brown, Christian McCaffrey, Puka Nacua, Chris Olave, Hunter Henry, Brandon Aubrey, and for you IDP players, Blake Cashman dropping 26 on his fucking dome. Yeah, I survived a 50-point outburst from Bijan Robinson in the championship and won by 40. So, but again, that's why you listen to the show, because we tell you the right players to draft. And by we, I mean me and Ryan, because Josh tells you not to draft JSN. You were just so adamant that he was going to be bad.
Look,
you were just so adamant.
It was easily my worst take of the season. I've not
arguably ever. I'm not going to arguably ever.
Well, I've had some questionable ones, but no, like, I mean, look, I'm not going to shy away from bad takes. Like, that's dumb. We all make mistakes. We all get too high on some players. Like, shut up, Joe. You missed too.
Here's the thing. I drown those moments out of my mind. So I don't remember them. We sometimes an entertainment team, we get up in circle, we do our roses and our thorns. So we did that from like Christmas break. We all introduced each other to like some new hires. I have a hard time coming up with my thorn or my sad moment because I'm like, I just flush all those. I just have a great time.
There you go.
I was like, there was freezing rain one night and I couldn't go out line dancing. Everyone's like, that's not a real one. I'm like, that's the worst part of my break. But I love dancing,
right?
Yeah, that's the worst part of my break. I don't know what you want for it. That's what it is. Anyways.
Good for you, buddy.
Time to crown the official fantasy football MVP. We all know who it is. But anyways, the nominees are from Josh, Puka Nacua, Christian McCaffrey, and Drake Maye. My king. Trey McBride, CMC, and change to Drake Maye.
Change to Drake Maye. You guys talked me into it throughout the show. He gets my
Ryan.
third place vote.
Drake Maye. And for myself, Christian McCaffrey, Puka Nacua, and Chase Brown, just because I want that to be known that those are my top 3 picks in the league that I won $1,000, and I just want that to be known. Realistically, it is Drake Maye, because I also drafted him in like the 12th round. But anyway,
I was going to say, we really did not talk about Chase Brown at all in this. Because really, he started slow this season.
Well, and so I did not include him on a single list, and part of that was because the slow start.
You include him on the playoff list.
Oh, was he on the playoff list? Okay, perfect.
Yeah, because 32 and 29.
Oh, good point. Yep.
Yeah, his 2 highest scoring games of the season were in the playoffs.
There you go.
See,
okay.
As someone who had Chase Brown, it was not fun to start the season.
The only
I was
player
gonna say I traded him in one league in like week 4 for Garrett Wilson.
I would say the only player that felt like an MVP this season that we did not give enough love to in this show is Devon Achane. Like Devon Achane legitimately felt like an MVP if you had him on your team. So
Devon Achane, 0 single-digit games. Fun fact. I believe.
And people said he couldn't do it if he didn't have Tua. He did just fine without Tua.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So like
arguably Quinn Ewers is a better quarterback.
Well,
it's just that situation where it's hard for Devon Achane to be called MVP in a season where Christian McCaffrey did what he did.
I mean, he was the RB5. Like,
yeah,
you know.
So like I said,
yeah.
Which again, I got so much shit for having him as RB3. By the way,
I agree, Josh. Like I said, Josh,
I had him at 2 at one point. He ended up my final.
Your counterpoint to JSN is what you did with McCaffrey and Achane. So,
yeah, but he's never going to live down JSN. We're never going to prop up Devon Achane.
That's because people only remember the misses, and that's
correct. The one thing that does play to how again Tua left, we're worried about Achane, didn't end up happening. Apparently, the whole plan, the entire season, was just throw passes 7 yards behind the line of scrimmage.
Yep.
And one of 2 people live in that area. That's where Devon Achane lives. And if you watch the Miami Dolphins game, I believe during Fantasy Championship Week in Week 17, they threw not 1, not 2, but 3 straight tight end screens.
Oh, yeah.
To Greg Dulcich.
Dulcich, baby.
What the fuck are we doing? What? I saw Devon Achane line him in the back. I'm like, oh,
that was where I texted you guys. He was done. McDaniel. I'm like, he's done. You got to get rid of him at this point. So
3 straight tight end screens. Keep in mind, only one of them was completed.
Yep.
Tight end screen.
And they didn't score on that drive.
They did not score on that drive. Correct. They did not score on that drive. That was in the Reds inside the 10-yard line that they did that bullshit. The winner of the fantasy football MVP, it's Christian McCaffrey. It's not even. The only
point I'm going to throw in here is I said I would have put up a bigger fight for Trey McBride if he did not fuck you in week 16. And you cannot call somebody who did what McBride did in week 16 the MVP.
And you know who didn't fuck you in week 16? Christian McCaffrey is 35 fucking points.
Yep. So.
God, and again, this is like base scoring, no bonus points. And for a lot of you that do play in bonus point leagues like I do, McCaffrey was dropping 40 some weeks and close to 50. And also, if you don't have bonuses in your league, it's 2026. Get with it.
Come on, let's have some fun, people.
Yeah. I won my game 85-72. What the fuck is that?
I lost a fantasy championship on bonuses.
That's how it should be.
Me and the guy. I was up. So weird league, old school league where it's not fractional scoring. So to get to the next point of passing, you have to get to that number. So I'm playing a guy. I'm up by 1 point when Caleb Williams throws that 18-yard pass to go over 300. He got the 1 point for going over 300 and a 2-point bonus. I lost the game by 2 points.
As he should. Correct. That's how it should be.
I agree wholeheartedly. I lost, and I'm pro bonus. So
that's 100% how it should be. A couple questions in here. Never played DFS or any off season. Quick recommendations for me to try it out. Deposit $100, bet it all, and just see.
A lot of different ways you can do playoff DFS. Depends on what's legal in your state. The 2 ways I would typically recommend dipping your toe into it. If you just want to do playoff DFS, where you build a 9-person lineup, Austin and I have slates dropping. I'm going to guess those episodes are dropping tomorrow, maybe Friday, where we broke down the Saturday and the Sunday slate. You can I would dive into the Sunday slate if you've never played before, because there's 3 games going on and you get to pick a player pool of 9 players between those 3 games. It's very fun. You can also do a draft, which is really interesting, and you can do that over on Underdog or even DraftKings, where you can get in a room with essentially 4 people and draft a team for just the weekend, or you can draft an entire team for the playoffs. And then you're trying to bet on how many games people are going to play. And it gets really interesting. So I personally recommend hop on DraftKings or FanDuel, jump into a Sunday only contest. If you watch the show with me in Austin, it'll give you some tips on how to do that. So.
And then keeper league question. Rice was going to be the keeper next year in a 10 team, got him in the 11th. Rethinking Drake Maye in the 15th. That's
it's great value, but I don't love keeping quarterbacks.
Yeah.
I'm not going to keep a guy with questions.
I was going to say, I'm not going to keep Rashee Rice.
Also, if Rashee Rice comes into the season fine and healthy, you still have 14 rounds of draft picks that if you really wanted Rashee Rice, you could take him.
Correct.
Then there's also, do we know 100%, and you won't be able to answer this till later, who Rashee Rice's quarterback is to start the season next year? So
I think it's going to be Mahomes. I would be
I
surprised
think so too.
if it's not.
Well,
regardless,
he's not on that Tom Brady fitness plan, and I just don't know how quickly a guy with dad bod is coming back from this injury.
Bro's on the freaking Wendy's diet.
Exactly.
His fat ass. I'm in better shape than him.
As someone who is as round as Patrick Mahomes, I just don't know that I'm coming back that quickly, but I'm also not getting paid millions upon millions of dollars to come back that quickly.
A couple of things I saw in here. Yes, multiple times I had mentioned Mr. Chris Olave.
This was a very pro Chris Olave show. Again, I hate to keep harping on this point. You can't call Chris Olave the MVP in a league where Puka Nacua existed, plain and simple. Like, we gave him love. He's not Puka Nacua. He's not JSN. We barely gave Jamar Chase any love because he was overshadowed by those other players. So
to Chris Olave, you could argue is one of the best values, arguably the best value.
Yeah, and that was one of the sections he fit into was the value section. So.
Yep. And I feel like we do have to kind of we're not cover them, but I'm going to give my comedic takes on these playoff games because we're here, we have time, and I'm making sure that there is no. Okay, I will bring up. Brennan has RJ in the 7th and Achane in the 3rd.
It's Achane in the 3rd.
Achane in the 3rd. Not even.
Yeah, that's
fine.
The
first round running back. That's who I want.
Yeah, Achane in the 3rd. I agree with that. I would be good with that. Okay. And you guys feel free to chime in on these things.
I'll give you my winner. I have winners picked for all of them.
Yeah, I mean, I like to have fun here, and I'm just going to go in the bracket here. Rams, Panthers. I like the Panthers.
I was going to say, they beat them once already.
Rams in a blowout. That was a fluke last time. It's not even going to be close this time. I won't be surprised if the Panthers do not score a point in this game.
Oh, they're scoring points.
I wouldn't be so sure.
I do think the Rams avenge the loss. But I will not be surprised one bit if the Panthers win.
Panthers, three of the Panthers' 4 touchdowns in that game were 30+ yards. 3 turnovers by Matt Stafford, none by Bryce Young. Not happening again.
Fire me up. It's probably gonna be the Rams. It's probably gonna be the Rams, but fire me up, Panthers. Bears, Packers. Bears.
This is the one that worries me. I'm leaning home field. Bears.
Did y'all see the rap video that some Packers?
Oh my god. 12 rings ain't enough. Jordan Love, bitch, you and your red hair go back into the fucking cornfield, go milk a fucking cow, sit down, you're gonna lose this game. I think it's gonna be like
it's close. It's gonna be within a 3-point game.
I don't think it's close.
To me, I'm gonna trust Jordan Love in this instance more than I trust Caleb Williams. That's really what it boils down to. So I'm gonna take the Packers.
I don't want to agree with that statement. I also don't want to disagree with that statement because I'm not a Caleb fan nor a Jordan Love fan. Caleb, we haven't seen the playoff. Jordan Love, I've seen enough of. Thank you. And he's bad. So we can move him to the side. Moving into the next one, Eagles-Niners.
I'm taking the Eagles. Kyle Shanahan's offense has never scored more than 15 points against a Vic Fangio defense. And the Eagles have not allowed more than 15 points in 2 months.
I mean, yeah.
I don't care how bad the Eagles' offense is. Like, you win with
here's
defense, simple.
Here's
because that San Francisco defense cannot get pressure. They were the fewest sacks in the NFL.
Here's my fun stat, because this does apply to this game, the Texans game, and the Chargers game. I forget the years, but I saw this tweet going back over many years. Warm weather or dome teams. Warm weather teams being obviously warm climate, such as Florida. Take Jacksonville, Tampa Bay, Miami. Or dome teams. Take, also the Niners do fit into the warm weather climate. I want that to be known.
Yeah.
Dome teams, such as the Texans and the Chargers. Those teams, when going on the road in playoff games to cold environments where kickoff temperature is below 40 degrees, 4-14.
Oh, wow.
They're not good.
No.
So, to me, I think it is the Eagles. I do think the 49ers are very high-powered, but I think you can key in on McCaffrey and maybe slow everything else down from there. So, I think it is the Eagles.
I'm taking the 49ers.
That's fair. I think this one to me is the closest toss-up. This is the closest toss-up.
When I did my bracket, the AFC, I actually had the 1-2 seeds versus each other. I have 49ers Rams in the NFC Championship, the 5-6 versus each other.
Every time the Seahawks have been the 1 seed, they've been to the Super Bowl. Just throwing that out there.
Interesting.
Okay, cute.
I'm just saying. I mean, I don't think it's going to happen this year. I mean, Sam Darnold is our quarterback.
If we want to play that game, the last time Ohio State won the championship and then something happened the year before, the Panthers made the Super Bowl and lost.
Yeah.
So it's either Broncos, Patriots against the Panthers if we're playing that game. So we'll just go with the last team, warm weather. Jags, Bills. I think the Jags rout them.
The Bills have never won. They haven't won a road playoff game in 30 plus years.
I think the Jags rout them.
I mean, granted, it's 0-8, but
I was going to say, when's the last time they've been on the road in the playoffs outside of the last 5 years?
Jags are hot at the right time.
Yeah, they are. I think it's the Jags as well.
I think the Jags cool down a slight bit, but Buffalo's defense isn't stopping anything.
And the Jags, and it's not even like the Jags are this like young, inexperienced playoff team. Like they've won playoff games.
Yeah.
Trevor Lawrence, he's won a playoff game. I think he's won one.
Yeah, I mean, let's not act like he's.
I mean, and Liam Cohen's been around winning teams for many years as well. So.
He has, correct. Texans Steelers. This is my one caveat where I think the Dome team can get that 5th win.
Yeah.
There you go.
Because I can't for the life of me believe
this game is going to be 19-16. It is going to be a battle.
That's generous. I'm thinking like 6-2. Like I think that's generous.
I was listening to sideline banter last night. I was listening to Sam and Tate on sideline banter last night, and they were previewing this game. And her first thought was, "This game is going to be divisible by 3 because it's going to be all kickers."
It's the only way I see Pittsburgh.
All I know is I'm betting the under. That's what I know.
The only way I see Pittsburgh winning this is if that Dome team goes into the cold. And I've said it. I think playing in Pittsburgh is a very tough place to play. I think they're arguably top 3 home field advantage in all the NFL.
The only 2 things you mildly have going here is Stroud did play for Ohio State, and the Texans are a defense first team, so it's not going to really fuck their game plan up. So
correct.
Chubb played in Cleveland.
Oh, Chubb can't play is the issue.
Yeah, not anymore. That's the problem.
Yeah, Chubb can't play. So yeah, I again, it's not like players haven't played in the cold, but Stroud has been a Dome team for 3 years.
Yeah, for 3 years.
And Stroud hasn't looked good. Is also
that's true too. Yeah, calling Stroud your secret weapon is never going to be a good thing.
So I do think there's a chance of the Texans,
but their defense first mindset is going to help.
Yes, these are 2 very defense first teams. I wouldn't be surprised if Steelers win. I will take the Texans, and then Patriots Chargers.
Blowout.
See, and I was very on the. I would not be shocked if the Patriots lose in the first round.
Not to this fucking team.
They're not losing to the Chargers.
No,
I don't think.
If the Bills were the 7 seed, agreed.
Yeah, I think you could have an upset there.
I said them like, I'll play Houston, I'll play Buffalo. I don't care. Those are Dome warm weather teams coming to New England. It is going to be below 30 with 15-mile-an-hour winds Sunday night in January in Foxborough.
Yeah.
Okay, Justin, have fun in that.
Yeah, I don't
gonna
think
get
the
ugly.
Chargers can
Played at Oregon
Hey,
his whole entire collegiate
the
career.
run
Been in
game
LA
for
for
New
7
England
years.
is going to be interesting because the Chargers do have a good run defense. But
The Chargers win because of Omarion Hampton ripping apart our defense, but
yeah, and he
Spillane
didn't practice today due to an ankle injury. So
and Spillane and Mitt Williams are back.
Mhm.
So your run defense that was good the first half of the year, they're all back now.
Yeah.
I don't think it's as much of a rout as people think it is, but the Patriots own the Chargers. They simply own the Chargers. Go back to the playoff history of Rivers Brady. They had fucking Rivers, LT, Vincent Jackson, Mike Chambers. Didn't fucking matter. We curb stomp their asses in there. I think this one is again another warm weather team takes the L in those situations. There's your first round right there, and that beautifully wraps up our 2025 fantasy football MVP debate, and of course, a little fantasy football playoff talk and just real life playoff talk because it's January 7th, folks. Not much else to talk about, so that's what we're here doing. You drive the conversation, you drive the story, and I'm glad I can make you laugh because I see Ken and Smitty. I don't know what I said, but I have to imagine it was something I said. I don't know what happens.
yeah, because we're not funny. Sure.
Josh, let's have a real conversation if we want to have that right now. Let's be real for a sec. Should I read the last text
so my old ass can get out of here?
Oh, hold on.
I was gonna say I got to record another show after this. So
well, hold on. Let me just read the last text that I sent in our chat before we hopped on tonight, so everybody can realize who the comedian is here. We were talking about obviously the fantasy MVPs, and we had at each position. Ryan, pick your fucking head up. Christian McCaffrey, Drake Maye, Trey McBride, also Josh Allen too. Drake Maye, Trey McBride, and Puka Nacua. And I said, tough year to be a black position player or quarterback, all whites leading the charge. I know Ryan laughed. He just didn't react to it. And Josh actually reacted to it. So again, if we're going to talk about that.
Hilarious.
Ryan, you laugh at all my little jokes. Get the fuck out of here. You laugh too much. You immature little boy. Stay subscribed, folks. If you have not yet, tell your friends, tell your buddies. Again, year-round show. We don't stop this every Wednesday. One of the three of us, for the foreseeable future, most of the three of us, will be here next week. Arguably, way more fun than the MVPs. Let's bust some shit out of these fucking losers.
And we do so good at calling the losers, so this is going to be great.
This is entitled the Justin Jefferson Show. Is what next week. I can't think of another bigger one off the top of my head that didn't get injured, right? Like the injury is can't predict.
I think Saquon for a lot of people, like not for this show, but I think
not for this show. That's what I mean. Not for this show. We were all down on Saquon. But yes, we can definitely add Saquon to the thumbnail as well. I'm pretty sure those two will be the two big ones on the LVPs and the biggest busts. To which I believe
Saquon was RB 15 in points per game, and
he was 14
RB
total.
14 in total. Yep.
Yeah. I believe Joseph said he would just drop in his entire team, and we just said
he'll give us the motivation.
That was the LVPs that we could just list off. For Josh, Ryan, myself, you can follow Club Fantasy on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Club Fantasy FFL. The URL clubfantasyffl.com. Always remember, defense wins championships, offense wins fantasy football. We will see you next.